Port Harcourt, Rivers State, was host to the first Garden City Literary Festival in September 2008. Governor Chubuike Amechi welcomed all the participants.
I so compatriots, Nigeria's call obey to serve our father's land with love and strength and faith.
So I felt we should put this together to allow the public to see these gentlemen and ladies. The other objective was to challenge you, the students. I read a lot about Wole Soyinka, I read about Kofi Awono and others, but I never met them. In fact, today is the first day that I'm meeting Kofi Awono.
Your Excellency, to get Nigeria reading again is a task, difficult as it were, that must be done. The Rainbow Book Club, in consultation with stakeholders in the literary business, has invited us here under the aegis of the Garden City Literary Festival 2008 to feel the passion, the thoughts, and visions of our own writers without borders.
In her own welcome address, Koko Kalango, founder of the Rainbow Book Club, the organizers of the Literary Festival, on behalf of the Rivers State government, talked about her dream come true and this special day when literacy will be celebrated and education put on a pedestal.
I'm extremely gratified to be associated with the first Garden City Literary Festivals and Book Fair. More gratifying is the fact that this landmark event is being hosted by the University of Port Harcourt, which is home to a long list of distinguished literary icons. Occasions such as the Garden City Literary Festival provide literary workers and the general public a unique opportunity to re-examine our cultural values and disappearing reading habit.
It was an opportunity for the participating writers to renew acquaintances, recall fond memories, and celebrate landmark achievements and birthdays.
Then my other friends who are here, all the writers, I'll begin with the celebrant for this morning, who at 74 is almost there, but not quite. We salute you, sir, on this occasion. Wole, nice seeing you. Welcome home, and I salute you.
We'd now like to invite for the reading of Yellow, Yellow. Kanya Gary.
I'm a Port Harcourt girl, anyone who knows me, and a very proud town girl. Sisi had not attended school beyond primary 6, preferring instead to work. She had been exposed to all the influences that had converged in Port Harcourt in those days, long before Nigeria's independence from the British.
Excellency, my good friends, Coco, the imaginative, creative organizer of this event, you and all your colleagues, I bring you greetings. So even when guns appear to become inevitable, it's important that we ensure that culture, and especially literary culture, takes its place in the minds and in the activities of even the combatants. And I think that is also the motivation of many writers who are here today and who continue to interact with the youth, with the talent, the potential talent that exists in this area. Welcome you all. I join others in welcoming you, and I hope we'll have a most stimulating 2-3 days of literary exchanges. Thank you.
But I'm going to make a point of a group of writers, and those are members of the Fourth Estate, publishers, facilitators, our special guests, participants, and finally, students of all ages. We never stop to learn. So we are all students in one way or another, even if we're not in university. The thanks of the Rainbow Book Club go first of all to the Executive Governor of Rivers State, whose idea it was to have this literary festival and whose government has made it possible. I would like to beg for more careful editing of the written word.
The Garden City Literary Festival, in addition to being a celebration of literature and the arts, was also to mark the United Nations International Literacy Day. There was an accompanying book fair over the period of the Literary Festival, and it featured leading publishers, bookshops, consultants, and literary-related businesses from all over Nigeria. At the end of the first day, Governor Amaechi hosted the participants, guests, and stakeholders to a gala night and dinner. They were entertained by dance troupes of young children and teenagers performing dances from the culture of River State people. There was also a command performance of Elechi Amadi's play, The Woman of Calabar. Governor Amaechi expressed the gratitude of the Rivers State government to the distinguished internationally acclaimed writers who accepted the invitation. The theme of the 2008 Garden City Literary Festival was Writers Without Borders. The theme was explored at a symposium.
The purpose of our gathering this morning is to talk literature. And we're going to listen to some brilliant panelists. I've had the excitement of meeting a number of young people, aspiring writers. I've even gone through some scripts of aspiring writers, and hopefully I'll be interacting with some of those who submitted their scripts on a more intimate level. We have here writers and critics from different parts of the world. So let the symposium begin. Thank you.
You know, Wole Soyinka is also the same thing with William Shakespeare, W.S. I'm taking a new writer, and that is Chimamanda. Chimamanda. My God, our Chi will not fail me. Chimamanda Adichie. She wrote Half of a Yellow Sun. Half of a Yellow Sun takes the title from the Biafra emblem. Half of a Yellow Sun is a literature of lamentation, because it's trying to tell us what happened to the Igbos at a certain point in their history. It's a historical novel. So, strictly speaking, Black American writers as representatives of Black Americans are not without borders. I am yet to see a Nigerian writer who has been made very popular by Nigerian critics.
So Wole Soyinka needs no introduction. What I want is those of you who have questions about the craft of writing, about Professor Soyinka's life as a writer, as an artist, should please form a quick line along the central aisle. And as I call on you, you ask your question of him and get a response.
Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka was asked questions about the Niger Delta situation and the craft of writing.
The Niger Delta issue can be solved best in a holistic manner. But the same questions are being asked. To whom belongs primarily the wealth of the land? The best way of developing skills, which is what I thought I heard, is to consume as much literature as possible, do as much reading as possible, and then forget everything you have read. Just read widely, immerse yourself in the very technique of writing, pierce through the text on the page to the mental processes that distilled, because that's what one does also if you have any writer's instinct. The mental processes that distill experience, phenomenal, history, reality, encounter, distill such realities into the words you read on the paper.
Now, seated in front of you are two of our greatest writers, Ambassador Kofi Awoonor and Chief Elechi Amadi. Can we welcome them with a round of applause? This is an interactive session to interact with these literary icons, to ask them questions, and also to hear them read from their works.
The poem takes its beginning from an oral tradition of the performance of the dirge. Carefully, it's a dirge, it's a funeral song. Zobasali saya wongomala ploma dachida glaudoma totroi magbama galio ngobaya zudona ile khamanya wezwa gamami mafa matutu maririgo matakoli ba yedanana ba yewala zona bia yewala hona poya afaya manaka jidola onwe itoba makata maforero yo bloba mujige yamaye pinoko maiche maremuri oh achao te ajina zara kuma achao te ajina zara kuma manolo go goma ajina zara kuma achao te go tell them, tell Pati, tell Kova Nidavu, tell them that they have forgotten their offsprings, that termites eat all the trees in the fences, and mortals have taken their portion, and we here eat sand. We can only go beyond and forget. We can only go beyond and forget. Thank you.
The great poems. As the days lengthened, despair and fear gripped everyone. Old men said that even the days of the slave raiders were much better than these. The slave raiders, they said, were merely out for money. Their minds were not poisoned by that intense hatred which could drive a man to kill another and enjoy the deed. Indeed, the slave raiders were not out to kill. They only did so in self-defense. Often, when pursued, they dropped their victims unhurt and escaped. But these days were different, very different. Death lurked behind every bush. At night, the pale moonlight cast dubious shadows which none but the brave dared investigate. And when there was no moon, the curtain of charcoal black darkness instilled as much fear into people's minds as if it was one vast, insubstantial, ubiquitous enemy ready to slay any who left the security of the closely guarded houses.
I want to share with you the importance and the noble calling of what writing is, which I think is very important because we all have unique stories to tell. And if I can share with you how to tell that story, I think I've accomplished something here.
And then there was a workshop on writing stories.
Stories are important to what we do in our lives. Stories are what, in fact, make us human beings.
The first thing is never be afraid to ask questions. If you don't understand, ask. Whether it's in school, whether it's at home, ask questions. And the second thing they said to me was to make your books your best friend. Let your books be your best friend because it's the cheapest way to explore life. It's the cheapest way to travel. It's the cheapest way to leave your environment. And also it keeps you out of trouble.
Questions were asked during the workshop.
We are trying to encourage young people to read and to write. And what we are trying to do is to encourage writers to come together, to encourage each other, and also to compare notes. We are trying to encourage schools to have reading corners.
A publisher's seminar enlightened participants.
All those who want to publish books here could actually try by sending a bit of it, a bit of your story, to an online publisher, for instance, or to an anthology of short stories. You know, because there are several people who are doing things like that.
We're looking for works of fiction, for instance, that treat the social issues, but treat them in a creative and an interesting an engaging way. I'd like to see the manuscript. I'd like, before I can decide, make up my mind whether or not it's publishable.
I like to have interactive sessions, especially when I'm with the children. As you grow up, it is good to get education because you get to know more and more things that will help you in your activities in life. And on behalf of my humble self,
Her Excellency Judith Amaechi presented books to close the festival.